Good afternoon. This is Chris Johnson. You are now tuned in to KJ Live. It's Sunday, the last day of Black History Month. And to honor this occasion, my guest for today is one of the top content creators around, but at the forefront of the Black content creator movement. He is the creator of the hit show that was on Comedy Central for 2 seasons, The Legends of Chamberlain Heights. He is also an accomplished writer, producer, a man of many, many talents. You may know him as the meme god. I know him as Joe, my little bro. King Josiah, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get him in here. Joe, how you doing, black man?
Super chefing. Can you hear me all right?
Oh, yes, I can hear you well. Can you hear me, my brother?
Yeah, I'm good. I got these AirPods in there trying to charge the phone.
Super chefing this thing, okay?
Trying to make sure this charge stay good. I don't be doing these fucking lives like this, man.
I know. It's all good, man. You're good, man. Joe, man, thanks so much for coming on, man. I know you're a busy guy. I wanted to get you on, man, and just chop it up about a number of different things, man. What you're doing nowadays is sort of, off the hook. It's gotten you a lot of notoriety, but man, you've been doing stuff for a long time, and I kind of want to get to the nitty gritty of it, like the back in the day, to how you started, the inspirations along the way, just telling your story a little bit, man. I don't think we get that perspective from the Kang as much as we should.
Well, you were there for a lot of it, so really this shit has been going on for close to 30 years. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like we were born into a family where you had to really be top level in terms of creative. I think it obviously all started with our dad, Marcus Johnson, but everything he was doing at UCLA back in the day, theater arts major, having the camera equipment and all that type of shit at a young age when we were living in Italy, making all types of videos and memes and spoofs and all that type of stuff we were doing even back then. So it was a natural shift over. It's funny, I didn't really fuck with this thing forever, like social. I didn't really mess with none of that stuff. But
yeah, I know, I remember.
I have some buddies in San Francisco, Gene Barnes and that whole crew,
But Joe, so why didn't you mess with it? Because that's I remember, like me, McConan, we were heavy on it, just going crazy, and you were I think you were busy a lot of the times too. You had to work a lot during that time or something.
I was on those NFL grinds, so those were like 16, 18-hour shifts. And I remember kind of when social started to be a thing at NFL. I remember the first, probably 2010, we had a big draft production meeting in New York. The whole crew, Eisen, Dion, everybody you could think of was in the meeting. And we're talking about Twitter, and Eisen's like, what's Twitter? Like, we're talking about tweets for the first time or whatever. Kind of how everybody in the meeting just didn't really know what was going on. It's basically like, oh, you can do this, that, or whatever. But I remember, obviously, Ike Williams, who was one of the founders and creators of Jersey Chaser, and he was just so ahead of the time. So he was on Twitter way back for the account, but just getting all, hitting up all types of people, really in that early infancy stage when nobody really knew what it was, when you could DM somebody no matter who it was, and they would hit you back because they were just so fascinated with the platform and everything. But like I said, I had this crew in San Francisco, and they would be on this group chat, and they'd be just sending memes out. They, memes, everything was a meme, every response was a meme. And I kind of was taken aback by it's probably like 8 or 9 years ago. I'm just looking, I can't really keep up. They ended up booting me out the chat because I had my meme game was so whack. So from that moment, I'm like, well, shit, let me look in this thing. This has really become a form of communication, how people are really moving and shaking. So I was like, fuck it, let me go ahead and get up in this thing, see what's cracking, start getting some heat out. Obviously, start taking off, start testing some different things like the Raptors, start testing the fence to see what content resonates, what content's buzzing, what stuff isn't, what stuff people are really gravitating towards. And obviously, the Legend of Chamberlain Heights experience really just shifted it to a whole nother level. That's when I became on like Yoda level.
But and so I felt like you were Yoda level doing Jersey Chaser, when you guys dropped the puppets, and you guys were early in the game with that brand of comedy, that genre of sort of making fun of things, voiceovers, VOs. You guys were ahead of the game on that. So I already recognized the genius then. But fast forward to Legends of Chamberlain Heights. Talk about that, the show, the experience, man. What was that? Where did that come from?
So before we get into legends, to your point, we were doing shit in 08, 09, 2010 that I really see a heavy, inundation of. But we really pride ourselves on being as low budget and as ghetto as possible with a meme. But heavy Mr. Miyagi memes with quote bubbles, calling people weed grows, like all types of,
yes,
just language swang or, slang and the shit that, people weren't really getting off back then. And to your point, like people did kind of some bad lip reading or voiceovers, but we went super raunchy. Everything was always just, super LeBron heavy, but always just clowning it. And it was actually from that doing the Jersey Chaser stuff. We had built up a robust YouTube following, went viral a few times off some clips that we ended up getting basically a cold email to the Jersey Chaser account from some guys, Mike Clemens and Brad Abelson, where Mike was a big time producer, had a company with Tom Werner at that point, and done a bunch of stuff in the animated space. And Brad was working on The Simpsons. He was I believe a storyboard artist on The Simpsons. So they reached out, saw some shit that we did. They came to us, me and Quinn Hawking, who I played Youth Slay together with too, along with Ike. They came to us like, yo, we want to do some LeBron, like Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids type of project. And we're just kind of like, that was too old for us even then. Like I was familiar with Fat Albert and that shit. I think that was a little bit past my age range. I was more Saved by the Bell, New Class, and Mighty Mouse and kind of all that shit, but was familiar with it. And, I think it ended up being a great decision, obviously, with everything we've seen in recent times to kind of stick away from the Cosby Kid kind of whole thing. But so me and Quinn looked at each other like, nah, we're not really fucking with that. Then they were like, well, you got any other ideas? And I'm like, well, shit, we used to sit on the end of the bench at UCLA and just, get it cracking basically during games, talking shit, doing whatever, having a good time. So their eyes kind of lit up like, oh, man, that feels like that's the wave. So we kind of, that was the inspiration of it, that experience, just riding the bench and kind of, I think anybody at some point in their career, will experience kind of what that feeling is like or has done that before. So just knowing that camaraderie you build with a team and a framework. So we aged it down, made it high school, kind of brought in Michael Starberry, who really came in and just helped shape the world and craft and just really, taught me and Quinn a lot just about story.
Shout out Starberry. Shout out Starberry.
Me and Starberry talk all the time. He's like, you're always giving me love. It's like, shit, I'm always going to give credit where it's due. I'm never going to, try and take credit for somebody else's. But what they really showed me, just the character, the story, how to approach things, how to, and Starberry's funny because he's basically built now this big dramatic writer, right? Well, like When They See Us and then Colin in Black and White, which we did. But, back in those days, like 09, 2010-ish, like he was, straight, had a pilot at Comedy Central, but that's where he kind of made his real buzz on the comedy side. So seeing this dude, like, and seeing his dramatic side and the shit, I'm just like, but it also taught me, well, shit, you don't have to be typecast or limited or whatever. You can really get your flair. Yeah, it takes a certain individual, that, Chris, but if you can really get those flares off and not really let anybody put you in a box or tell you this is the way you need to, you can only tell jokes, you can only do this, that. So it's really been great to expand that. But we started working on it in 2009. I think it finally hit air 2016. And it was crazy because during the process of production, we did our first table read. Me and Quinn ended up writing the script for our table read. First one, network execs, everybody's there, president of network, everybody you could think of, literally just probably had like 200 people for a table. Table reads normally get like 20, 30 people. For everybody who doesn't know, they're designed so you can see the material, see what's landing, see what's not landing. But what ends up normally happening is you just flooded with people who are already working on the project. So they already have a vested interest in making sure that it's funny or laughing at the jokes. But we have about 200 people in there, just all walks of life. Like,
plants.
No, we didn't have no plans. I'm saying we brought like regular people. And
you brought regular? Yeah.
They didn't know anything about it. But I'm saying normally in a table read, it's like everybody who works for the company is there. So they've all seen the script. So they're laughing, trying to get the network to laugh, like, oh, like this is funny. But we didn't need that. We came in like 200 people just random. It was literally just like, live their first time hearing it. Whole thing was jumping. President Network was there. He loved it. So they ended up ordering a second season right after that first table read. So we literally, I think, got the fastest second season, at least for an animated show in Comedy Central history. So, for us, that was like, okay, we're out here doing some things. We're out here getting it. But
flares out.
Always.
Hey, Joe, but how much, speaking of legends, how much, like, what the characters influenced? You say it was about your experiences riding the bench at UCLA, but how much were the real characters influenced by people you knew, people in your life, friends, were they combinations of people? Because I remember the brother always reminded me of me and like Ike. I felt like you guys might have got some inspiration from like me and Ike. I don't remember that the dude that walked around in the wife beater with the house.
Yeah. But this is the thing, like as we were building that world out, and this is even Starberry talking to us too, like we had the three main characters. That's kind of what we knew we wanted to do. And that was me, Ike, and Quinn. Like, Quinn was a white character, but it was a version of himself. It was basically like that Grand Theft Auto days we used to do back in those days. But honestly, a lot of that world that was brought in was a lot of Starberry. Like, oh, we should give him an older brother and a younger brother. We should give them a whoop and them and that. So for us, it was like, all right, well, let's make the older brother kind of what he aspires to be like and what he's trying to get to. Younger brother, super militant, not really fucking with sports, just all on some straight pro-black shit. And that was really like
Malik.
So Malik was Starberry's character, like, but only Starberry could write Malik. So whenever we had any Malik type of lines in the script, and I would always tell Starberry, look, this is just placeholder. We're thinking something in this general range. Can you come through? Because he would always just come through with these deep, like Malik as a character was so robust, but. Yeah. Even like when we built these different characters, it was all just like, all right, let's figure out the world we can surround them with. Like we gave Jamal a twin sister called Shamal, like just think, but these were all just in the development process. Like, and that's what I was saying about character and story and stuff, even going in now. Because a lot of people, hey, I want to do a story about X, Y, or Z, but who's your protagonist? Who's your antagonist? Like, and it was kind of a communal effort, like Randy, LaDante, I'm just thinking all these auxiliaries, but we would get characters right, and sometimes they wouldn't have a name. So it'd be like, all right, let's give him a name. Somebody we know. Like I know, like the first we did like the Wall of Fame, and that was a great thing about doing that show. We had to do all these Easter eggs, right?
Oh yeah.
Of like you can just name characters. All right, we're gonna do a Wall of Fame. Here's 5 characters. Like throughout the years, what are their names? Awesome. So, oh man, like Stoney Loco.
I saw that, dude. I was so honored.
Tyrus O'Bannon, but just anybody who was watching it that knew us. We had a character called Holford who was the white character that never really talked, but it was like we needed to assign names. Because Holford was my teammate John Holford at UCLA. Mm-hmm. But so we would just always try to show love no matter what we were doing. So it was like, hey, we need background characters. So I did actually send over a photo of you, photos of pretty much everybody in the family. When they were like, yo, we need to design a background character, I'd be like, all right, here, do this, do that, whatever, like put Michael Cage in back in one of them, sometimes, just like, but like buildings, it's like that became like the fun part. It's like, hey, we're doing a scene. We're doing a downtown scene. We need buildings. Like, all right, let's go. Cage curl supply for Michael Cage's curl. We'll go, whatever. We're just not, Compton Leroy's. I think we were in a room one day. I was like, yo, we should do a Jersey Mike's, and I was like, we should do Compton Leroy's or something like that. Everybody loved it.
So
I wasn't really feeling it. I was like, nah, like Compton Leroy's is fine, but let's figure. And then I was like, why don't we switch it to Compton Cans in honor of Kendrick Lamar? Nobody's fucking with me. I'm like, all right, well, we'll just go with Compton Leroy's. Like,
that's funny.
But
now, I that type of experience, Joe, when you hit it and it's cracking, it's a lot of high level, creative individuals working together. Shit isn't always sweet. Now, without getting into too much detail, what were some of the biggest obstacles that you kind of had to get over to really get things through, to maintain your integrity? What's some of the stuff you had to go through?
Well, you look at the stuff I do now, right, on social, and how I've been able to really elevate, and that was all birthed from doing the stuff from Legends. It was kind of Jersey Chase was kind of the initial seed of it and the growth of it. But once I got into Legends, it was like understanding the social world, what was moving and shaking, how things were trending, how shows were becoming successful. Honestly, like traditional promo and marketing, it's done, but no shows nowadays are like, oh man, we saw that commercial and we just had to watch the show, or hey, we saw that billboard. And I had to pull over and write down the time the show was going to come on and remember to watch it right at that time. Like, I just realized like digital was the best way because you could hit people right away. Yeah. You can hit somebody at 10:29. Hey, show's coming on right now. Oh, damn. Let me click it over real quick. So I figured I had to build all that type of stuff. But anytime you're dealing with a bunch of, competing personalities, ideology, I think for us, and I can speak for myself, it was coming in was basically the lack of respect almost. It was almost just like, you guys should be happy to be here. We don't really need much from you creatively. And it was really just like, do you not know who you're dealing with? I mean, kind of like, and telling them at that point, well, oh, you don't have a lot of credits. And what was like, I don't have a lot of credits. I haven't been doing stuff on it. I've been on sports entertainment side, 200-300 shows deep, editing, producing, NFL networks, Showtimes, all these other spots. So
but they didn't take that, like, that didn't matter to them.
Okay. I remember we had a press release and they like tried to pull all that stuff out, try to make us look as like Rudy Pooty as possible. And I'm kind of like, y'all know, like, I'm literally like a supervising producer on this level, and I know the social shit better than pretty much anybody we have in this building. So just a little respect, not much, not a ton, just a little. But we kind of get into that process doing that type of shit, and it became apparent, like, all right, well, it is what it is. We'll kind of keep grinding, trucking along. That's Hollywood in a nutshell for everybody. You got to pay your dues and earn it. But I think the game nowadays, we're seeing, like, you don't really have to do that anymore. Like, you got these 19, 20, 21-year-old kids that are basically 4 million, 10 million followers that understand how to freak the system better than, and I think a lot of people in the older space, because they're so used and they got shit on it during their rise, that they look at it as like, oh, well, these young kids. But it's like these young kids, not even looking now, these 20-year-old kids, and how much more advanced, the Photoshop and all the other shit they can do, and how second nature that is to them. But it's like, you know, it was genuine. So it always come with like a super level of respect. It's like, you got to show me the way. And I think in the Hollywood side, it's kind of flipped. Like, you know, they don't really want, when you're younger and you're kind of new and you're a new creative, just, hey, just be happy to be here. We don't really need much from you until it's time that we need much from you. Because, you know, we'd be in these same meetings. They be talking about, oh, man, the account got 80,000 followers now. And it's like, yeah, I saw each and every one of those 80,000 people come in. You know how, like, I don't know if you remember those times, but I used to be on the social so heavy. I had this app where I could basically follow and unfollow 10,000 people a day.
Yeah, me too. So, I had the same shit.
But everybody who knows who was doing that back then, I was doing it live and organic on the computer. You can only follow.
Yeah, that takes a long ass time.
You can only follow 100 people at once, and you had to take a minute break. Like Twitter would stop you, so you couldn't do, you know. But 100 people, you had to take a minute break. So imagine doing that 10,000, you know, for 10,000 total people, and then 10,000 unfollows a day. That's 20,000 plus taps on the keyboard. So I'd be in edit sessions on the show, VO booth, wherever it may be, but just constantly getting it off. It like used to make this annoying ass noise, like, you know, me and my boo almost broke up as a result. Just that noise. I still hear it sometimes. It's like, it gives me like PTSD. But just on the grind, because it was like, look, this show's my baby. I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure that it's sustained and it lasts for as long as it can. But also just be in the conversation with the other stuff going on. And that's, you know, ultimately we had bad experience, we had good experience. We got 2 seasons of a show, 20 episodes, and really for me, I feel like it made me into what I am right now. So I appreciate everybody for that. And it's like, it is what it is. You know, the game is the game. We move on, we learn from it, and we just kind of keep this thing in motion.
Yeah, that's all you can do, man. And I love how you really kind of pivoted, man, and you didn't stop. And, you know, you continue to create, which kind of gets me into, you know, sort of not it's just you gain a lot of notoriety on the internet in the last, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Due to your really, like, it's a savant-like ability to create, like, really relatable content via sports, music, entertainment, pop culture, life, and you do it with anything that's going on. I'm just curious, like, I've known you your whole life. I never knew you had that in you. How did that come about? Like, where did you get that from? Influences, inspiration?
I think, you know, we talk about, like, even back old school days, like the Jose 3030s for the world, but just all these people that were, you know, and that's a name that
Jose 3030. Shout out Jose 3030, baby.
High esteem in my heart, but just people that were back in the day, like early old school, kind of first figuring this out, doing this shit. But we were blessed and fortunate to have the ability, you know, back in the day, growing up in Bel Air with the satellite, to get just endless amounts of pop culture, games. Like, we were getting, you know, obviously the East Coast feed of things. We got with the Chicago WGN or whatever the Chicago network is. So we just had all this access to all the, you know, not in addition to just a robust VHS collection, beta, like everything from Dad's generation, from your generation, from my generation. So I just kind of soaked in all this stuff.
Porno.
You know, not the, you know, like the.
It's a family show. All the damn porno channels on the Russian shit.
And you know who had the tape? Like, I ain't gonna bust nobody up, but you know who had in the laundry basket under trying to just endless.
Oh my
God. We go to holidays or whatever. It's like, oops, some of those are getting snatched.
Oh my God.
And then going to school at Montclair Prep, we were right next door to like a porno warehouse. So we had kids on the squad we had like a dorm there. They would hop the fence and fucking go in and snatch shit. So, you know, acting, all that. Boogie Nights. That's why Boogie Nights is one of my favorite movies. In addition to Paul Thomas, P.T. Anderson went to Montclair Prep, obviously, but just that world and, you know, how immersed we were in it, kind of the differences between West LA and the Valley, what the Valley really meant back in those 80s, 90s, kind of just because that was, you know, it was like shit, a gold mine out there. That was the whole, you know, you look at like these towns like, you know, like Detroit or whatever, Motor City or whatever. This was like porno city back in the day, but just having, you know, access to all that stuff and seeing all of it, and it's just in my head, man. I see these clips and just really understanding kind of the meme world. And I saw a lot of the stuff that was coming out, and it was so basic. It was such a basic level that I didn't really feel like people in my age range, our age range, really getting content that was really catering to them, or just, you know, kids didn't really understand all the shit that we had, Wayne's Brothers movies, John Singleton. But the great thing about memes is you can flip those things and stuff that's super serious or like super, like, you know, crying in theaters. I can now flip that and make that a funny meme. Like, you know, I remember I did one years ago with like from Boys in the Hood after Ricky got smoked and they brought him into the house, and the mom's like, you did this to Doughboy, but it's like, you know, that's Steph's mom after he has to serve Steph in the playoffs or some shit. But, you know, but just things like, and then they just really connected with people. You really feel that nostalgia and that emotion and the things that they elicit out of everybody. So it was like, yo, this is kind of a no-brainer for me. But really kind of growing up with you, and you know, I have to give you your love and your credit. Like, just, you know, I was on DJ Quick early. I was on X Clan and just all these type of things we had in the house and stuff we had access to. So I was getting a heavy dose of all that stuff, really aging up in a lot of the content I was watching, in addition to my own shit. Then we had Mo and Josh and just, like watching all the stuff that they were watching and kind of like seeing how they were engaged and react with stuff. So just have this wealth and library of content. And whenever I see a situation happen now, I'll be like, oh, that reminds me of Money Talks when such and such happened. That reminds me of Friday when Smokey's counting the money for Big Worm or whatever, just any of these great moments. And always just trying to flip those things. Like I did like a Little Dicky Chris Brown with Alex Caruso. That was one of my favorite things. When he's like, I wonder if I can say the N-word. But when you put those things up, like really people don't know. They love it, but they don't know if they can tweet or they can retweet or whatever. So I do a lot of those things just to really test the fence and see who's really going to be about it and put it up. Sometimes not even trying to get numbers. I know this thing is not going to perform well because, people can't really touch it like they want to, but it gets on their radar. They start to see it and just kind of, that's how it goes.
Yeah, shout out Moose Bailey, Joshua Johnson, everybody in the chat right now showing up, checking us out. Right now, this is KJ Live. I'm Chris Johnson. This is Josiah Johnson, Legend of Chamberlain Heights creator and one of the most creative content people out. Joe, talk on the same lines of content creation. You've created this lane. Well, I feel like you've created the lane of African-American content creators that are out here doing a certain brand of comedy, but you speak for all people, youngsters that are growing up, emulating you, really just loving your style. What type of advice would you give them? What type of suggestions and just kind of a light roadmap to help them achieve some level of success?
I think it's a quote from Dad from Richard Pryor via Dad, but it was something along the lines of stop giving away what you can sell. And that's the thing we all got to learn with social. Like, yeah, you want to get your name, you want to get your content out there, you want to be able to really, elevate yourself and your brand. But I see, especially being immersed in social now and studying and I basically got a PhD in social, right? Yeah. Just from being it for the last 4, 5, 6 years, but really immersing, seeing trends, engagement, what moves, what shakes. And the amount of content that just gets jacked from Black Twitter, like blatantly just straight jack. I call it the slacking jack. Because when I get my shit jacked, and I've built up enough respect in this game. Like when a brand slacks my shit, I'm getting hit up from the highest members of that company. Like, yo, it wasn't me, dog. Like, here's the Slack convo. Here's the Slack. Well, I had nothing to do with it.
Wait. You getting actual?
I had nothing to do with it.
They sending you the Slack convo?
Like, damn, I saw they did that to you. I had nothing to do with it. Here's
proof.
Here's the proof that I had nothing. Here's the convo of, oh, we saw this and it's so powerful. And woo. We should put something up. And it's like, and then they put it up and it's like, wait, like we had a video of this. Like this came out 3 days ago. You followed me. You saw this on my own Twitter for another company I was working for. And instead of just giving them their love for getting an exclusive, like I remember one in particular came through, I think via Matt Barnes, shout out to the legend, but Matt came on Dunkbait. Matt basically gave me some info nobody else had. He told me Lakers and Clippers were hesitant about going to the bubble. He talked to some guys on the team. He didn't name names specifically, but everybody knows Matt that he knows everybody. He's plugged in. He didn't dime nobody out, but it's like, yo, they're having some second thoughts about going to the bubble. We dropped that clip. As soon as I hear the clip, eyes light up like, oh, let's get it. We got to get that out. Drop it up. And I'm dropped that like on a Sunday. And then by like Wednesday, Thursday, like Sunday, I see it drop. But then Monday, I see Matt on like a competitor show who I know they just hit him up right after our news drop to come on to say the same news. But they credited us, so we respect it. But by like Tuesday, Wednesday, you just get this. And this is like, come on, man. Like this is, I mean, it's just it's such dirty. I mean, especially from a brand corporate level, such like a dirty hustle. But then you look at a lot of these companies, how they built their level of stature, and it's literally just it's straight jacking.
So, but I guess the message is, if you want to make it out here, be prepared to get some of your content, some of the stuff you create stolen. I guess the mentality when you get it stolen, you see your stuff. How do you cope with that? Does that make you feel good? Is it flattering, Joe? And then does it make you think, well, at least I'm on the right track, although they are jacking my shit?
The first like couple hundred times is flattering. First couple hundred. The next couple hundred is like,
hold on.
Damn. Because the other part I don't mention is I try to go to a lot of these different companies here. I came up with this brilliant idea that's going to perform well. I'm going to come up with this and that. And it's a lot like, oh, we're not feeling that. We can't do that. We don't have the capacity, whatever, whatever excuses you get. Believe me, that's a part of the game in any industry. But it's like, this is Josiah Johnson coming to you. It's not like a regular dude. This is proven hitters. Like if I put my mind into figuring something out and I bless you with the opportunity to hear that, then I'm telling you something that's going to hit. So generally what will happen is they'll be like, oh, we're not rolling, whatever. I'll just making myself, you know, with the necessary resources I have available, people I've been able to build a relationship with, making myself drop it, it hits. Then they start doing the thing that, but not with me, not giving me the bag. So that type of shit is offensive, especially when like you look at these people like, you guys all follow me. It's not like,
is there a way to protect yourself? Is there a way to protect yourself from this?
It's called the Bing Bing. I feel like, you know, we you know, but it's been a pandemic, so it's you know, it's a Bing Bing type situation, and or just the threat of a bing.
Not a big bing. It's not a big bing.
But that's what it, you know, if you can, obviously, if it's a woman or something like that, then it's just a stern talking to. But it's just a level of respect.
You're passionate, Joe. You're so passionate about this.
But it's just but I see it happening. I'm making good money off this shit, so I'm not tripping. Like, but I started to realize how much money people are making off this shit, right? And that's when my eyes opened up. Like, this is some straight bullshit, dog. Like, you got sites selling for $80-100 million that all they do is jack people all day. There's no creation going. It's all curation, and I'm fine with that. But it can't be like, I've had these sites. I'll put my shit up. It's viral. Like, oh, I know this is gonna get jacked. I can't tell you how many times I've been tagged on some shit from some account I never even heard of that's got 400,000, 500,000, 600,000 followers. And you just look at their whole timeline, it's all just it's like,
yeah.
And people and there's a duality of people, because they, on one side, people are like, yeah, man, nobody should steal, whatever. Like, you know, they'll try to ride on you and bang on you. But then those will be the same people liking all those posts on the, you know, you'll look at the account liked by, and it's the same person who's on Twitter like, yeah, y'all are jacked. But it's like, but you like it. You know this was jacked. You know this wasn't there. You know,
I know.
Because you retweeted on my shit an hour earlier.
And like Talk Hoops just said, and then Talk Hoops just chimed in, and they'll always crop you out of it if they don't straight rip it. You know what I'm saying? Like the top.
Appreciate Zach Harper for being one of the realest, like, just dudes that really. But I talk like him, Meryl Deezus, Dragonfly, Legethro. These are the dudes who really made me want to get into this social game in this space, because I just saw the way they were moving. And it was like 10, 12 years, 15 years ago, we had like the Around the Horn, the PTI. It was like the beat writers were kind of running shit. And no disrespect, no offense to beat writers, but I've seen a lot of them, they can't really hoop. But they became kind of the celebrities of the game, where now we're getting these real, like, robust, diverse personalities that are popping up. And it's like, we watch shows now. Back in the day, if you wanted to be on a show, right, a basketball show, and you were black, you had to have played 5 to 10 years, or, you know, I'm just saying, like, that's the only, you know, you could be like the white square, like the 5-foot white square who's got good pipes, as they say. Hey, you know, Chris, tell me what you think about whatever. And you could be that. That was getting, you know, that you didn't have to know sports for that side. But if you look like us, you had to get in. Yeah. Where now people have been able to create these followings, and now these brands really see, like, oh, back in the day, it was just perception, right? We perceived how successful somebody was, or whatever. There wasn't really a metric, like, oh, we knew our big superstars, but what did that really mean? Was a lot of that just hype or overblown or whatever? We're now on social, and even on social, it still is. Everybody can juice numbers and do whatever. There's bots, and, you know, if I wanted to spend all day creating fake accounts, I can make my thing look like it was at 1 million. But I'm more of an engagement guy. I see your numbers. I know if you got 10 million followers on your account and you only got 300 likes, you went 300 for 10 million.
That's a telltale sign.
Chris, I'm gonna give you 10 million jumpers.
Please.
From 40 feet away. I'm going to get from 40 feet. I'm going to give you 10 million jumpers. Can you make more than 300 of those?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Please. 30, 40, 50,000, 100,000. I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's so if you're only getting 300, now imagine if those are layups. Like, with this layup, you only got 300 of, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to give you 10 million layups, and you only made 300.
I feel you. No, I get it.
That's you know, I'm definitely passionate about this shit, but I just, for the young kids out there that are trying to get it, man, it's like, I'm so inspired and motivated by these kids, because they don't even realize how talented they are. And I'm trying to, when I meet these kids, I try to put them on and just show this other side. Because for me, it's like, I've worked in all these different companies. I worked at the NFL. I've worked at all these spots, right? And there's this duality of like, oh, we want to be diverse and whatever. And it's like, well, you look at the C-suite, and what's diverse about it? It's a bunch of old white dudes that literally vote against our interests, that literally vote for the man who literally calls Nazis fine people, but will simultaneously tell their staff to tweet like Josiah, or talk like that, or, ooh, we got to have drip and swag and lit, and, you know, but this is, so I see these young kids are really just showing them, because there's so much bread in this side, especially if you can do it organic. And you see me do some things recently, like if you see me doing some things, you know, there's a bag involved.
Please.
But you know, I'm strategically whatever I'm doing, but there's a bag involved. Please. And those bags are juicy. Like, when I started realizing, like, oh, these are the bags, because other people have been getting these bags, literally just getting a bag really to wake up and wait for me to tweet, and then figure out what 2 words they can change in my tweet to make it their tweet, and hope I don't see. And I'm not the type. I've gotten past that point of I got to call everybody or whatever. Just like as a creative,
but you used to call everybody.
these are conversations that when this pandemic is over, like there's gonna be conversations that are had, and really, I'm 6'8", 300 again. Like, I'm fine with these conversations. Like, I tweet the way I tweet because I know that if it comes to that, like, you know, like yourself, like, you know, if it comes to that, what's up?
But we've grown, we've evolved, Joe. Come on, you know, we can't. Our big stature, we have to carry, but we have to carry ourselves differently. We're so big, people looking at us like, yo, man. So I've learned how to just go the other way with things, just be extra nice and calm and super kind and just, you know, almost like a bitch. You know what I mean? I say, fuck it. I'm going to go ahead and be a bitch right here. Because
I'll tell you about that shit. Like, it's not, but because there's no value in people like ourselves trying to go at these people, right? You go at them with negative. It's not, there's not any need for negative energy, but trying to go at these people, like, they take pride in that. Like, for them, that'll make their day. You know, it doesn't make their day to get completely no acknowledgement from you whatsoever, as they repeatedly. And it's like, I see everything that comes on my Twitter. Every single nasty comment, whatever, some side busting, some shade, somebody who thought they were slick, but I'm going to see them again down the road or whatever. Man, I see all that shit. And it's like, I take notes, like, okay, it's going to get addressed. It's been a pandemic, like I said. Some of us have been quarantining. Some of us have been doing things the appropriate way. But when those, you know, vaccine, whether it be Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, Moderna, whatever it ends up being, or some just general herd immunity, whatever ends up cracking, floodgates will be open. And all that shit people have been talking, like, it's been festering for 12, 14, 18 months. Because I'll get it from people, and it's like, you're going to come at me, but you're going to be asking me for a job soon. Or you're going to apply to the company that I work at, and the first thing they're going to do is say, Josiah, do you know who this is? And should we fuck with them? So think about it. Yeah. Josiah, do you know who this person is, and should we fuck with them?
There's definitely something to think about, Joe. Like, come on.
I'm not a hater.
You're not, Joe. You're not. No. I mean, look, as long as I know you, Joe, you're passionate, man. You're passionate. You go step up. You go say what's up, man. You go step. You're not gonna hold back. And that's the thing I always respected about you. You can only push Joe for so fucking long before Joe's is gonna blow the casket, and then that other side comes out. But we want to chill, Joe.
But it comes from market. I mean, I'm saying it's been passed generationally. Like, I had the blessings of seeing, but literally seeing you and seeing the way you move was like, all right, I know I can do that, because sometimes you have to do that. And it's like, you know, you said a bitch. It's not a bitch thing. It's just being intelligent. It's a bag, you know. It's a bag. It's like, so you call me whatever, because, you know, you get it. I get it. We get hated on repeatedly. I mean, I can't. When I was doing voiceover videos like a year and a half ago, I can't tell you some of the nasty shit people said to me. But it's like, ooh, run up. But I'm not gonna waste my bag on you. Clowning you on Twitter is gonna, because if I clown you on Twitter, you know who's gonna see that?
You gonna make him famous. And people that are giving bags. Jordan
Peele's going to see that, or Ava DuVernay is going to see that, or Starberry might see that.
That's not tight.
They may be like, "Ooh, I don't really want to be."
That's not tight.
I don't really know. That's not a good look.
So I'm not rolling.
When these bags are here, it's a level of just like, you know, these are bags now. So this is professionality, and it really, the internet. We grew up on the internet with the YouTube and the crazy shit that was said back then. Nothing anybody says now. Everybody now is soft, to be real.
We said it all. We said it all. Done it all.
My haters compliment me. Like, my haters, you know. My haters are thankful. Like, they're, you know, like, they're just not built the same way as in years past, where it's just consistent hate. Like, they have to be like, oh man, no man, I don't like your shit, but I fucking this one. Like, that's not how this works, dog. That's not, no, you gotta hate.
No man, I don't like it.
You gotta hate everything. Hate everything. No, man, it's all good.
Yo, Joe, but segueing to kind of, you know, what you're doing now. I know you're limited in what you can talk about, but just let the good folks know about the project that you're currently involved in, because that's a pretty exciting thing. I'm really proud of that. Just your involvement in that is incredible. Just kind of tell the folks what's happening.
So was blessed and fortunate to get the opportunity to work on a show with Colin Kaepernick, Ava DuVernay, Michael Starberry, called Colin in Black and White, based on Colin's life in high school, his young life, but really just showing how he became the man who he is today. And like I said, you know, I'm not gonna have Ava calling me like, yo, why you running your mouth about this shit? I will say I was excited going into it. I remember it was probably like 2.5 years ago. I want to say like maybe even a Dad's jersey retirement. I knew about it before, but Dad's jersey retirement, me and Starberry talking, he's like, look, man,
I remember y'all talking a lot during that time.
He's like, this Colin thing looking like it's going to go. Like, if it does, I'm going to bring you on. And I love Starberry, but I've been in Hollywood long enough where anybody says I'm going to do whatever. And say, okay, I'm not tripping. Like, I appreciate you. But once the paperwork's signed, once the signature, then we're rolling. But to his credit, I remember it was November of like 2019. He hit me like, yo, hit me on like a Tuesday, like, yo, the room starts Monday. And I'm like, shit. Like, and I'm working another job. I'm like, yo, let me call you right back. I got to call my boo and just make sure she's cool.
Call my boo.
He was just like, but I could just tell in his voice, like, what? Like, kind of, but he didn't really say it. He's like, all right, do whatever you got to do. So I honestly called him back like a minute and a half later, like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't even know why. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I even thought about it, dog.
What are you doing? What are you doing,
I didn't want to be a
Joe?
bad guy for the other gig, but I was just like, I thought about it I called my boo. She's like, why are you even asking me this? Like,
duh.
Like, what, huh? Like, go, you better go do that shit. So, but to be in that room, I was nervous as shit going into that room, working with, Ava walks into a room. There's only two people who have walked into a room and just dominated it in a level that, like, I just like memorable. And I'm just like, oh, and that's Erykah Badu and Ava. So, Erykah Badu walked into the room at Legends, walked into our writer's room one day, and it was just like this aura around her. Like, our room normally smelled like farts and depression, and it's just a writer's room. You work a 12, 14-hour day. She came in and for like 3 days it smelled like Badu, but it was just like the most sweet smelling, like, and Ava same way. She walked in the room for Colin, and it's just like she walked in with her little coffee whatever, beverage, but her little iced beverage she comes through with, and it's just like the aura around her, just like,
absolutely,
yeah, like
magnificence,
excellence, like just great, But like a LeBron, when we met Jordan back in the day in Golden State, like, just walking into that lot when we used to pull up to Santa Barbara at his camps, and just when you see this human being, and people are always like, oh, you give Jordan a lot of slander. Really, it's just a balance of force. I rock with MJ. How can you ever hate on what he accomplished and what he did? But you walk into that camp, see him with the high short, tuck in, the old school, just like Hooper look.
You get chills, and you got chills. It's like a feeling went through your body where you just nerve wrecked, and you're just looking like, you couldn't believe it, man. You couldn't believe he was really like right there.
Just like he's breathing. Like we're the same. Like there's a potential for us to.
Yeah.
Like I just touched his hand. Like it felt like the calluses like on the inside from dunking. But you know what I mean. But things that. Like the Hooper hand, like those are things you feel when you just, this is a real, it has like a plumber hand basically. Like the inside hand is just fucking real gristled. But you just know, like the Hooper toe, like just the things you see, it's like, damn, this dude is like just fought battles. But to be able to work with Ava Starr on that project, man, I think, it was crazy. As we were working on that, he was kind of in battle with all this stuff going on with the NFL. So he came by. He was supposed to come by a lot more and do stuff. We ended up having to do a lot of his stuff remotely just because I want to say the week he came in, he got the call from the NFL to go to that Atlanta workout.
Wow.
And I just remember seeing how excited he was. You know what I mean? Like he was going to get his opportunity to go back. Like he showed up that day, and it was like that day had kind of broke lightly that there was something going on. So he was like, yeah, I got to dip out right after this. I got to go out there. But just to see how, and literally point blank, first question I asked him, I wasn't trying to be an asshole or a dick, but I just needed to know, I need to look the man in the eye and be like, yo, do you even want to play in the NFL? Because everybody's saying that you're doing whatever. Like, do you want? And he just looked at me like, how dare you ask me that question? I'm like, what? But seeing that emotion out of him was like, yeah, okay, this is what I know, and this is what. Because me, I'm not gonna work on some shit if it's not genuine, authentic, whatever it may be. If he came in and he was pump faking or he wasn't really about what he was talking about, I would have had no problem walking away from that project. You know what I'm saying? But to see this dude and see how passionate, how much he really meant it, and then to hear stories about just growing up and grew up in Turlock, California, which is Central Cali, which everybody hears Cali, they think Santa Monica, Malibu, whatever. They think this, liberal oasis. The central parts of California aren't moving and shaking like that, right? So he was, he's like, I grew up 5 minutes away from the Grand Wizard of the Klan or all these type of things going on, and I know we've touched those places.
Yeah, real California.
We know what time it is.
We know what time it is.
Fresno's or whatever, you might go fuck with Mott's and go play in the little EBO joint but I'm just saying, like, you go to these parts of Cali and it's like,
I know. It's wild.
Like, I'm not really gonna leave the hotel.
I'm chilling.
I'm chilling. I don't really want to know what's beyond these walls. Like,
no sir.
So just to see all the things he dealt with and the man he became, and just how I think about now, it's almost the 5-year anniversary of all this stuff happening, right? His first August, I want to say 2016, when he first started kind of doing all this stuff, and to see everything coming to fruition, just how terrible this country's become. Literally, I remember. Legends first came out, we made a joke about Trump being president in one of the episodes. We'd written that joke like a year earlier, like as just like a straight, there's no way this shit can happen. And it fucking ended up happening. I remember that day going into work was just like, damn, like this shit's about to be really like turned up and to see the way Colin was treated, to see, that square, it's a type of, because there's a lot of amazing white people on this planet, right, in this world, and I don't like the stereotype or whatever, but just to see from a certain sect of Caucasians that just, just that blatant racism that I think we've all dealt with, that LeBron deals with, that no matter how rich or successful you are as a black man, it's like, your achievements need to be undershadowed, or you need to go fix China, or how can you complain? You make money, like, it's like, what? Like,
yeah, that's their go-to. You make 30 million, you should be able to take anything, and people spitting on you and all that. You're making 30 million.
When I hear 30, I'm like, well, damn, how much is LeBron worth to the Lakers? Because they're worth like 2 or 3 billion right now, and that valuation just shot up. But it's like everybody loves capitalism unless it's like a black dominated sport. Then it's like, oh, we need to cap those salaries. We need some socialism here. Like everybody has to be competitive.
Yeah.
I want my team to be competitive, so we need to cap. Like, no, that's not how business works. Google don't need to cap. They can get whatever engineers they want, whatever. Microsoft, like, oh, we got too many good engineers. We can't have any more. Like, fucking, you working on a movie, Steven Spielberg, like, oh, I got too many top actors. I got to get I got to grab some kids out of college. Like, give me some third rounders. I got to do it with them to really, it's like it doesn't happen anywhere else, but you just see the way that we're treated in this country. And it's just like, man, come on, man. We can all do better.
How do you change things with your platform and your reach? How do you contribute to the change personally?
Really by going out of my way to, you see the way I tweet, see the way I move. It's reckless, but it's controlled reckless. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like, people see me taking shots, and sometimes I'll be employed by those companies, literally just daring them to do something, like in the midst of it. Like, but if I say some bullshit, then I say some bullshit. And I'm not really like, a couple of years ago, I was working at NFL Network when this cap stuff's going down. I'm never one like, because everybody's like, oh, we should boycott then. It's like, we start boycotting all the shit that's fucking racist and fucked up in America.
We're not going to do nothing.
Nobody's going to work.
You're not doing anything in life.
You want me to boycott the NFL, but you're going to your job right now where, your boss ain't gave you a raise in 2 years, literally because you can't pronounce your name. Like, but you want me to boycott but I'm just saying, it's like such hypocrisy, especially we as a unit, we as a people. So I think you keep elevating, promoting. I really go out of my way to try to make sure whoever I see some talented voices, I try to get these people jobs, try to give them, make myself available. Look, let's hop on a call. I'm gonna teach you, anytime I see somebody really elevating the entertainment game, always make myself available. Here's the things you can expect, the pitfalls. Here's how you need to move. Here's how you need to approach it. Here's what you need to understand. Like, nobody's ever gonna be rude or mean to you. They're gonna smile in your face while they're doing all the fuck shit to you. That's just how this game goes. It's never done like, oh, Chris, fuck you, I hate you. It's like, Chris, what do you mean? We love you. We just took some of that bread away from you. Like, we love you so much, we're not going to pay you as much as everybody else we're paying on this show, but we love you.
Absolutely. I mean, they'll smile in your face, they backstabbers. But the thing about it is, it's part of the game. I think that part of it, once we are able to just digest that, or whoever it is that's trying to make it says, okay, I understand that these are the rules, this is the structure, how can I still win? And like, it's sort of like understanding, the Robin Hood, the retail investors, how they figured out the game, GME, then they made a move. That can happen in every industry where there is like an established way of doing things, and it's not necessarily equitable. You understand what I'm saying? Where it's like off balance, where it's the game is rigged for one side versus the other. You feel me on that?
The thing that people fail to understand is, like, as a black person in this country, yeah, there's a ton of opportunity, probably a lot more than other places. I haven't lived in many other places, right? But
sure,
racism is everywhere. But those things were designed that way. This wasn't an accidental thing that black people were all relegated to certain communities and most of them can't afford to buy the properties there. The way that you accumulate wealth in America, loans, all these other things that people are, hey, I have a great business idea, I need a small business loan. Are you going to get approved or denied? And I think as black people, we're told we get denied because we're not good enough. And that's really not the case. Like, we've operated and moved. We've went to UES, the Crossroads, the Montclair Preps. We've been in these private circles. I went from Crenshaw 9th and 10th grade to Montclair Prep. The only difference I saw was a lack of resources and access. Kids at Crenshaw were just as capable and just as intelligent and just as talented as the kids at Montclair Prep, but the kids at Crenshaw didn't get textbooks. Kids at Crenshaw are going 50, 60 in a class, maybe not getting teachers that are as motivated as they should be just because they're dealing with so many outside forces, whatever it may be. Kids in Montclair Prep, it was like 20 to a class, air conditioned, everybody had a book. You could walk around campus at any point in the day and just see textbooks on the ground. It wasn't like, and come back the next day and all you really have to worry about is the sprinkler got to them because nobody's stealing them. I'm just saying, but it was just like, but this is, Crenshaw was like printouts, like, no, you're not getting any of that type of stuff. So really just the access experience, and that translates the same to getting jobs and making it to the next sector. Like, you look at the NBA now, look at the NFL, they have all these minority and diversity rules in place, but we see that they don't mean shit. The NFL It's like, Rooney rules. Basically, I got to interview a black. All right, go ahead and knock this black interview out so we can hire the guy we want. NBA,
Knock it out.
NBA fire Saunders. It's like Vanderpool's on the bench. Normally, everything is different, but normally he becomes the interim head coach, finishes the season out, give him a look, see what he can do. And, that's just kind of how those things go. But he gets passed over from the Raptors coach within and it's like, yeah, all that's good. In that amount of time, either you were A, tampering, or B, you knew this was going to be the guy. And the response is always, oh, well, maybe that's the guy they wanted. But it's like, yeah, but these teams are constantly ass, and they constantly underperform, and they bring in this whack guy. He gets fired. He gets a new head coaching job somewhere else. They bring in the next whack guy. He gets fired. He gets a head coaching job somewhere else. They're bringing the black dude, and he might get, if those guys got 3, he's getting 2, and he's getting booted, regardless. And that's just kind of, the way it goes. But I think people are starting to really get their eyes open into the reality of all these things are systemic. They're designed. It's not a coincidence.
Yes.
It's only a coincidence on that side. When you look at just, all these things, property values and all that stuff, and how the taxes go into schools and everything like that, you get people that basically just suck the black community dry, really don't give us the resources or opportunity to be successful, set up businesses in our communities, and then look at us like, well, how come you guys can't keep up?
Yeah, expect you to just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and try to figure that shit out. I hate that type of talk because it doesn't take into account the real reason why shit is the way it is. But still, you can still achieve it and excel. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. It's never an excuse. We're not here saying, oh, woe is us, but let's recognize what time it is around here and let's make moves and try to help the change, man, especially starting at the young levels. The grassroots levels, I'm all into the youth, man. And you have a ton of kids that look up to you, man. You wouldn't believe all the players that I've coached that talk about you and just send me stuff on the DM like, yo, brother, crazy, man. But it's that generation, man. You really touch that young generation.
I love those kids, man. We were talking about earlier about like those kids inspire me, but it's weird. I'm still in this vacuum of where I create content. Like I'm washed. I'm 38. I got kids. I'm not, it'd be different if I was in my early 20s, whatever, like could be a rock star with this shit. But I'm like straight square mode. A lot of these tweets come from the crib, like me on the couch, like just doing whatever, like, you know what I mean? So, but to see them, and I'm inspired by these kids, but just to understand, like, we didn't really get it coming up, right? Like, we look back at the AAU and all that shit, and we became basically walking billboards for these shoe companies who were making billions and billions and billions of dollars off of us, right? Like the Square execs, hey, we need Michael Jordan. And now Michael Jordan turns Nike into this, empire, right? Be off the back of this one hooper, this one dude who was able to really control culture. And that's what I think these young kids have such a handle on. I really feel like they value themselves now and they get it. And like when we were coming up, going to HBCU wasn't even a thought, right? It was like, but we didn't realize just how these systems were designed and put in place, right? Like I'm thinking about schools like Mo went to Tuskegee, Auburn right down the street. So I pull up to Tuskegee, nice campus, but you go to Auburn, it's like 80,000 foot state or 80,000 seat stadium, state of the art this, bam, 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 and it's like there was a time when kids had to go to Tuskegee because they couldn't go to Auburn, they weren't allowed. And then they started realizing, oh, we can put these black kids on the team, put them on a football and basketball team, run these numbers up, sell these seats out, and we can make money off their back and not have to pay them. Where have we seen this before? Where have we seen it before? I mean, this is how this country was built. But
the game.
So for these young kids, man, I really just want them to be inspired to go out here and really get in. Don't ever, like, you can come up nowadays, thankfully to social, and really just blow your following up or whatever it may be. You can strike lightning in a bottle so much easier than back in our days. And these kids got to realize the financial impact that they have, that they can make bread off their brands. Like I'm thinking about these kids with 100, 200, 300,000 followers. You guys can really start making money off the shit that you're doing and make a lot of good money because brands want to tap into your network and your base and all that other type of good shit. And why not you? Go ahead and get your bag. Don't be doing shit for free. Just somebody send you some shit. If it's your people, always support your people, right? Now I'm at the point now where I don't pay. I mean, I don't like take free shit from people. People will send me shit and I'm super thankful, but I always go make sure to buy some shit from wherever they're trying to sell as well. Cause I'm not, I'm just like, I'm past the point of I need hookups or whatever. I got good money now. I'd rather take that money and reinvest it in this next generation of creatives or whatever. Somebody's got a good pod or good clothing brand or whatever they're trying to get off. Because they're not going to get far enough just giving me some free shit. Like that's not the way. That's not going to really rock. But just be supportive as possible with everybody you're dealing with, man, and really just
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I'm all about support, getting behind stuff. Even it doesn't have to be everyday name brands. You don't have to spend on the stuff that it's because it's trendy, man. Go ahead and get out there and support some stuff that's coming up. As far as the rest of this year, 2021, I know you have the Kaepernick project Is there anything else that you're involved in that you want to talk about or promo on the show?
Yeah, I'm doing some stuff on the scripted side, developing a couple of great projects with some super talented legends. So once those things go, I think the streets have kind of been always asking what's the next animated project.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
And the streets have to understand we've been pitching projects now. If the squares don't want to listen, then that's look, I can't. all I can tell the squares here's every single question you have easily answered. In addition to how we're going to promote this thing and make it hit. From somebody who does 150 million plus impressions a month in their spare time. Please. 22% of their actual work energy, because I'm busy in writer's room doing all the other shit I'm doing. So all I can do is say, Square, look, this is going to be hot. This is what it is. And it's on the Square to be like, okay, I'm going to rock with you. Generally, even still, that people don't understand, I still get Square still telling me no to shit. And it's like, yeah, it's really like,
the streets got to understand, man. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
It's not my fault. It's not. We're literally trying to go to people like, look, we got this great project here, A to Z, all covered, because we know we're black and we got to come through with. We have to have 20 seasons already mapped out in our head. We don't get the Lena Dunham napkin.
Jesus.
Here's like
that napkin shit. That napkin shit is bullshit. That's a myth.
Here's a napkin. I want to do Sex and the City, but for young kids. Like if I walk into a room and say that, they'll be like, so? I'm just like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, okay. Where's the 50 pages of documentation and the actors lined up, and you guys already need to have 2 or 3 episodes already done. But that's like, well, we're coming to you to get the budget to do those. But so the streets need to understand it's not from a lack of not trying and not hustling. But we have some good things in the work. I'm currently working for the company Wave, who I'm super excited about. Got a show called Out of Pocket that runs on one of their accounts called At Buckets. But super excited about Wave. Wave is a new player in the game, and Wave's really coming in. You know, they're walking into traps to take over traps. So that, you know, when I met with the CEOs of the company and the head creatives, their vision really aligned with everything I'm trying to accomplish, and they've been super passionate about. Really, you know, a lot of people claim diversity, but they've been super passionate about let's make this company as diverse as possible, but really get the voices, you know, that we need. Like who, you know, even Josiah, like Joe, who are the voices on the street that we need to be really rocking with? And I'm like, look, here are the guys. These are the killers that really are out here getting it. The goons, you know, all that type of good stuff. But seeing that company build up, so loving what I'm doing with Out of Pocket, got a bunch of stuff on the social space as well. But I try to be a mercenary with all this shit. Like, you know, I don't ever try to go head in with any one company or whatever. I like to just offer my services and really show them the game, the ism, but to keep my own mind and head clear for the stuff I want to do. But man, I got so much good shit working. You know, we got some stuff in development. I'm super excited about that. That'll be, you know, the streets have been really clamoring for it. And the whole thing with any of this stuff, like when we come do our shit now, we're not fucking around. We're coming. No. It's like domination. Like it's not like you know. Everybody been like, yo, how come you ain't doing a podcast or whatever? It's like, again, all I can do is say, look, this is what we need. This is how much we need to do it. If they're like, oh, we can only pay you this. I'm like, well, why? Because these numbers indicate that I should be getting that. And I already gave you a deal. Just if we're doing numbers.
These numbers.
If my skin was paler with the numbers I was doing and all the things I was telling you, it'd be like, oh, we would take a risk on you, pay you twice as much as you were worth just because we really believed in it.
Here's a couple million, yeah.
You know, just, oh, man, look at the number. Do you see the content he's putting out? But this is the game. It is what it is. We're going to keep fighting. And I'm glad I got enough bread now. I don't have to be desperate, but we're going to keep fighting to make sure we get what we deserve. Because when we go out and do it, it's going to be a hit. Like that's undeniable.
No question about it.
You know, so it is what it is.
Well, Joe, man, look, man, we appreciate you. We love everything that you're doing. I'm so proud of you every day on Twitter, off Twitter. You growing into an amazing father, something that I'm sitting back looking, man, you're doing great with your beautiful family, man. I'm just proud of you because I knew you when you was, Josiah J, dressing up in the den, with all type of jerseys, trying to give me jumpers on the Nerf hoop.
The full court, oh man, I miss the full court Nerf. And but people don't realize from even a creative standpoint how elaborate we used to get with the kids. Like this is pre-dynasty mode. This is literally Nerf hoopers, like storylines. Like I had one that like an Alabama storyline with starting lineups with names. And like I'm just saying, what I mean? Like
our favorite starting lineups.
Like these dudes had lives and worlds, and I'd be in the game passing myself and being a different character for everybody I was passing to. The shooting guard who would get it to the post man who would, whatever. But so people don't really like grasp, like we were doing this creative shit just at levels that was obscene even back then, like detailed storylines for each of our guys. So by the time we got the dynasty mode or whatever, it became nothing. Digital and virtual. This was like
it was nothing, man. It was nothing. But yo, man, again, Joe, thank you so much. You can follow Josiah at King Josiah 54 on Twitter. you keep doing what you're doing, brother. And I love you. And I'm proud of you, my man. And thank you so much for coming on, bro.
Love you too. I was a little disappointed I wasn't in that first run of guests, so I had to really hit you like, what's back with this KJ Live shit?
Hey,
I keep seeing y'all
time.
over TL. I'm seeing way too many other
Oh, no,
here, but you know,
anytime,
I appreciate
man.
you for letting me come through.
No doubt. Anytime, my brother. I'll see you soon,
I love you,
baby.
man. I'll holler at you.
I love you too, Joe.